So, welcome to the session. We are resuming from page 94. We were talking about thought forms. So, I thought we can see some slides how Master Choa in his book Practical Psychic Self Defense for Home and Office, how he has clairvoyantly seen and described different types of thought forms. So maybe in this screen there are too many images. You may not be able to make full detail out. But I suggest you look at Master's book, Practical Psychic Self Defense for Home and Office. There, these are taken from that. Also, Leadbeater and Annie Besant, they have co-authored a book called Thought Forms. So these are some of the thought forms. Both of them were very advanced clairvoyants. So we gain from their clairvoyance because they have described different types of thought forms. And that is what has been talked about in page 94 here, where she's talking about different colors and shapes and sizes and so on. Yeah. Okay. So when we come to page 95, 96, what I think what we are being explained here is this our sense of I, our sense of being, our sense of this that sense that I am, that is most closely associated with the mind. It is easy for us to accept that I am not the body, the physical body. I am not the emotions. But when it comes to the mind, the mental thing, especially during waking consciousness, we most closely associate our sense of I am with the mind. And this actually is a confusion that is there in many Western philosophers. There is a very famous philosopher who's called the father of modern philosophy. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it is Rene Descartes. It is written as Descartes. So he has a very popular saying. Now it is in Italian, but translated in English, it says, I think, therefore I am. So this Mr. Rene was very influential in Western thought, in the Western philosophies. He was a philosopher, scientist, mathematician, very respected figure. But he also had this confusion where he associated his I am with his ability to think. Now you cannot say that he's wrong, because this is the highest level at which the soul in our life expresses itself. All right. Okay, let's read on page 96, 97. Page 96 on the lower part, the second paragraph on the page. Most of us, however, as I say, cannot separate in thought the man from his mind body, which seems to us to be his highest expression, his highest vehicle, the highest self we can in any way touch or realize. So, in our lifetime, in our waking consciousness, our highest expression comes from the mind, from the mental body. This is the more natural and inevitable, in that the individual at this stage of evolution is beginning to vivify this body and to bring it into preeminent activity. So, you see, in this, where we are, our stage of development, most of us, our target is to develop our mental bodies. He has vivified, you understand, energized or activated or bloomed or grown or evolved. He has vivified the physical body as a vehicle of consciousness in the past, and is using it in the present as a matter of course. Like all of us do, we just take our physical body more or less for granted. We need to take care of our physical body, but we are not interested in evolving the physical body too much. Although in our meditation, some of our Arahatic yoga meditations, master is talking about evolving the body in meaning the chakras, the physical brain, if you know the Kundalini meditation. But broadly, most of us, most of humanity is not so much involved in evolving the physical body. He is vivifying the astral body in the backward members of the race, but in very large numbers, this work is at least partially accomplished. So, for most of us, our ability to express ourselves emotionally is pretty well developed. Most of us, he's saying some backward people, perhaps not so much, but not in most of us, it is already there. In this fifth race, he is working at the mind body, and the special work on which humanity should now be engaged is the evolution of this body. So this concept of race, he mentions in the fifth race. So here you have to go into Theosophy theory. They talk about that our humanity has gone through already four races. The last one was called the Atlantean race. Now this one is called the Aryan race. And we are in this root race, our goal is to evolve the mental body. In previous incarnations, the physical and astral bodies have been, I mean, not previous incarnations, in previous root races, that has happened. Now, we won't discuss that too much. But so if we look at what is being said here, we cannot separate through thinking, we cannot distinguish between soul and mind. Because the soul is using the mind to think. So, how can the instrument being used be separated? You understand? Now, luckily, through our Guruji Master Choa, we have more ways to see the separation between mind and soul. For example, in the achieving oneness with the higher soul, Master gives us a way to directly be aware of the higher soul, not through thinking, not through thinking. But if you have done the soul, what we call the soul meditation, he has given us a technique, through the blue pearl. Then even in the twin heart meditation and in other meditations, he asks us to be aware of the gap, what in Sanskrit is called shunya. Now, when we go into that awareness of the shunya, that is where mental activity stops. Now we transcend the mind, because now there is no thought involved. We are not thinking of the gap. You see, very important to understand this. We are not thinking. The gap is not something we are thinking or imagining. We are being aware of the gap, and then Master says, let go. Let go means you just let your mind go. You don't try to use the mind. Correct? If you look at Patanjali Yoga Sutra, he defines yoga. He says yogasya chitta vritti nirodha. Meaning, what is yoga? It is when the mind is completely stopped. Yeah. So, separation between soul and mind is possible, but not through thinking, but by stopping thinking. But thinking, thoughts, the process of thinking, the creation of thoughts is essential for our spiritual evolution, because it is through that we develop and evolve the mental body. Yeah. As she's telling us, the physical astral already evolved. Now our goal is to evolve. So the method for that is to think. So how to grow or develop or evolve the mental body? By thinking. Now, later, what we are told is, unfortunately, most of us are not independent thinkers. Our thinking, our thoughts are borrowed. What we need to develop is independent, creative thinking. Now, seed thoughts may come from outside, but we have to do our own processing. What does it mean, processing? Analysis, evaluation, true, false, correct, incorrect, important, not important. That evaluation we have to do. If somebody gives you an idea and then says, like, Madam Annie Besant is telling us, by thinking the mental body will grow. But now we need to do analysis, evaluation. You know what master calls intelligent evaluation. And as we do that, our mental body will grow and develop. Let's read this second para on page 97, because this is where this whole thing is discussed. The mind body grows by thought. Our thoughts are the materials we build into this mind body. By the exercise of our mental faculties, by the development of our artistic powers here means creative, our higher emotions, we are literally building the mind body day by day, each month and year of our lives. If you are not exercising your mental abilities, if so far as your thoughts are concerned, you are a receptacle and not a creator. Matlab, you only receive thoughts, you don't create thoughts. If you are constantly accepting from outside instead of forming from within, if as you go through life, the thoughts of other people are crowding into your mind, if this is all you know of thought and of thinking, then life after life, your mind body cannot grow. Your mental body will not grow. Life after life, your mind body, life after life, you come back very much as you went out, because there is no growth, there is no evolution, there is no evolution, there is no change. You were born with some mental capabilities, and when you leave the bodies, they have not changed much. Life after life, you remain as an undeveloped individual. For it is only by the exercise of the mind itself, using its faculties creatively, exercising them, working with them, constantly exerting them. It is only by these means that the mind body can develop and that the truly human evolution can proceed. Right? I hope the language is clear enough. Here I would like to just remind you of the importance of what Master has called mental industriousness. Sorry. What Master has called mental industriousness. Unfortunately, mental laziness or laziness at the mental level, laziness of the mind is unfortunately very, very, very common. And it is very harmful because, as we can see or we have just read, what it leads to is that our entire incarnation gets wasted. Yeah. So then she now moves to the solution, and solution begins with starting becoming aware of thoughts. So let's read on page 99. She says, just be aware of your thoughts and be aware whether this is a borrowed thought or your own thought. What this thought, when it came into your mind, what it was, and when you are finished with that thinking, what was it? Has it changed or not? So let's just read this. Page 99, the last para. When you have tried this a good many times, the being aware of your thoughts, and by the very trying have become more self-conscious than you were, because you are becoming aware of, what am I thinking, where is this thought coming from, what have I done to it, what the thought started, then seed level, then what have I done, how have I developed this. Then begin to notice the thoughts you find in your mind and see what difference there is between their condition when they came into the mind and their condition when they go out of it. What you have added to them during their stay with you. Now, coming and going, I don't know how easy or difficult it will be, but at least you can have this awareness that when this thought started, what was it? How much was it? How developed was it? The sweet thought. And then how much thinking I have done over it, how much I have developed it. That you can think. In this way, your mind will become, I'm on page 100. In this way, your mind will become really active and will be exercising its creative powers. And if you be wise, you will follow some such process as this. So now she describes the process that, what is the process to follow? Yeah. So I will just read the summary on page 101, the first paragraph. The process that she is described, I would suggest you please read that on page 100. It is like our inner reflection, firm resolution practice at the mental level. Mental level means applied to our thoughts. Thoughts, maybe emotions also. You see, in the inner reflection, firm resolution practice, we may also think about our actions. But remember that every action is preceded by thoughts and emotions. For example, you let's say extreme, you slapped somebody, but that slapping came because of some anger, some irritation, or some process of thought, some thought forms which led to your finally acting out that anger. So if you follow this process that she has given on page 100, it is like applying the inner reflection, firm resolution practice at the mental level to our thoughts and emotions. Very, very useful. Okay, let's come to page 101. Here, the importance, the value of this effort is being described. The mind body will take on the characteristic of attracting thoughts that are good from the surrounding atmosphere and repelling thoughts that are evil. And it will work upon the good and make them more active, and so constantly gather a mass of mental material which will form its content and will grow richer every year. Now, later in this page and on the next page, she is telling us the value of this effort, how it helps us shape or prepare the mental body for the next lifetime. So the efforts we make in this lifetime on the mental body, they are not wasted. All the qualities, the abilities, all the powers, the mental faculties we develop, or we can call them even sanskars, we develop in this lifetime, they will get stored in the causal body. And next time causal body will remain the same, and that will lead to a more advanced mental body in the next lifetime. Have you not come across stories of, prodigies, children with exceptional abilities? There's some child who, as a child, was able to recite, for example, the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita, or was able to enter into spiritual discussions, or showed exceptional musical abilities, or showed exceptional mathematical abilities. I'm sure you've heard of children like that. So that is, that's what is, that now you can understand how that happens. In previous lifetime, their mental body has sort of shaped those qualities or those abilities, and that is the benefit they are getting now in this lifetime. Let's read on the middle of the first paragraph on page 102. During the present life, we are gathering together materials in the way which I have sketched, as she has described above. During the Devachan life, you remember we have talked about it earlier. This is where the soul goes into the higher mental and waits for the next lifetime. We work up, during the Devachan life, we work up these materials, changing them from separate efforts of thought into faculty of thought, into mental powers and activities. That's what I talked about. So in the next page or so, she's talking about, where the relationship with the universal mind. Now, universal mind you can understand as the universal mental plane. Yeah. And let's come to page 104. Now, on page 104, we are not going to read there, but it is an important, useful discussion on why it is difficult to change our mental habits. Mental habits, some terms that are used by people. Number one is thought patterns. Have you come across this term? Thought patterns. Master uses another word, he calls it programs. If you do the blue triangle practice, in some of them he says disintegrate the thought patterns, the programs, calcified ideas, and so on and so forth. So, because we create patterns of thinking, seed thought, next thought, next thought. So there is a pattern that forms. And if you read the book by Thought Forms by Annie Besant and Leadbeater, or the book The Power and Use of Thought by, I think, Leadbeater or by Annie Besant, they have explained this very beautifully. How these patterns form. So when these patterns form, it takes effort and there is resistance. And you must have seen, for example, addictions. What is an addiction? It is also a thought pattern. I mean, there may be a physical aspect to it, but the mental part, the psychological part is essentially a pattern of thinking. I am upset. If I smoke a cigarette, my upset will be better. Let me smoke a cigarette. So, so those patterns, programs, if we want to change, then it takes effort and there is resistance. So that is being discussed on page 104. And also, once we make the effort and we change the habit and convert it from, let's say, an undesirable or negative habit into a positive thought pattern, into a desirable thought pattern, then it becomes easy to follow it. You see, and we can see this in every aspect of our lives. For example, waking up on time. Now, supposing your body is used to waking up at, say, 8:30. Now you say, no, I want to wake up at 6:30. So it will take an effort. Body will resist. Some time and effort it will take. You see, now you have to understand that all our bodies, whether it is physical body, astral body, mental body, they are formed of matter. And matter has inertia. What in Sanskrit is called tamas, inertia. So it likes patterns. It doesn't, what pattern is formed, it likes to just follow that. To create a new pattern takes an effort, and there is resistance. So waking up, whether maybe it is exercising, you say, okay, no, I must exercise. It may be, my daily sadhana practice. Or it may be study, that every day I have to study for 1 hour. Maybe you decide a schedule also. But when you sit down, mind goes here, mind goes there, everywhere. Correct? So it takes an effort to stick to that schedule, to do the study. Now, once the habit is formed, and some people say it takes 3 weeks, some people say it takes 4 weeks, some people say it takes 6 weeks. I'm not an expert, but at least 3 weeks it takes to break the old habit and set up the new habit. But once the new habit is formed, then that inertia helps you. That vicious cycle becomes a virtuous cycle. So now it doesn't take that much effort. In fact, the body will now demand, okay, it's 9 o'clock, time to study. Like that. So that is what we need to do. Yeah. Even, something like tithing, I've seen. You want to tithe. Okay, you go to the erratic class, you're told you must tithe 10%. All right. But when it's time to give that 10%, you think, isn't it too much? Really? Does it really work? Now, then you remind yourself, no, 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 it will, good karma will come to me. That's why I must do it. You've set up a reminder. Okay, now first of every month I will sit down or when I get my salary, 10% of that I will give. You do it for a few months. After that, it becomes a habit. And then at an even later stage, you just do it because it is the right thing to do. It has become a part of you. Now you do it doesn't take an effort. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice that I've gone beyond the time.